Good morning to students. I think so you're all safe at home and doing homework, the assignments for all the subjects properly and regularly. Now we have just started the lesson, the chapter number 5, Digestion and Absorption. In that one we have studied the absorptive process, then the digestive process, etc. Now finally we have to go for the final event of digestion, that is digestion. Now we have received the digestive waste and other unabsorbable substances. These substances normally first found in the ileum, then enter into what is called the large intestine. This is what is happening. Now these waste normally contain fibers. Mostly contain fibers, and these fibers are called roughage. Now these roughages or the waste, the fiber containing waste, are normally utilized or acted upon by certain symbiotic bacteria, the beneficial bacteria present in the large intestine, into products. That means they are acting on these substances which are not absorbed, which contain more fibers, that is the roughage, and converting the roughages into certain substances by acting on them. These bacteria are symbiotic, mutually benefit. So they are present in our intestine without harming us. They act on these fibers, releasing certain substances, mainly vitamins. The main vitamin is vitamin K and other metabolites, other materials which are useful to the body. So this is number 1. Normally these broken substances by symbiotic bacteria are absorbed along with water in the colon region. They are absorbed in the colon region along with water. That is the broken substances, that is a roughage with the help of bacteria. They are being absorbed in the colon along with water. Water is also absorbed. Then the waste normally reach the rectum, where they are being solidified and stored for a while for its removal. So the waste then solidified into fecal matter. After absorption of water, other things, we have received what is called fecal matter, that is what is called solidified. Solidified means being converted into a solid, into fecal matter in the rectum. That's the last part of the large intestine. Now, presence of fecal matter in the rectum initiates a neural reflex that causes an urge or desire for its removal. That's nothing but the removal of waste. So, the presence of waste, when the rectum is filled with waste, it initiates a neural reflex. The neural reflex causes an urge or desire for the removal of the waste. Now, that process, what is called the digestion of the feces through the anal opening, is called defecation. Now this is 2 marks question. The process of digestion of feces through the anal opening is called defecation. The fecal matter being sent out through the anal opening, just actually that process of digestion. That is called the defecation process. Now it is a voluntary process, not involuntary. Once you are desiring, then only you can just eliminate the waste, just like the urine. It is being carried out by what we call the peristaltic movement of the gut. The peristaltic movement of the large intestine and the rectum is brought about by certain secretions, for example serotonin, one substance. We'll least bother about that one. Anyway, the digestion of feces through the anal opening is called defecation. That process of defecation, that's the elimination of waste, is a voluntary process, not involuntary. Voluntary process, once you desire, then only you can eliminate. Voluntary process, which is being carried out by the peristaltic movement of what we call the rectal wall or anal, just a canal. That's about what is called digestion, the removal of waste from the body. That process called digestion, the last process in the digestive process. Now the next one we have to go for the calorie values of the different food materials like carbohydrates, proteins and fats. I want to compare it. Okay. Let's see the calorie values of carbohydrates, proteins and fats. Before entering into the fats, now we have to know the source of energy for the body. What are the different sources? We are getting energy either from the carbohydrates or from the proteins or from the fats, somehow. So, we obtain energy that is actually from carbohydrates 50%, then from fats 35%, and now from proteins the least amount of energy which just we normally obtain. So 50% the major share by carbohydrates, 35% by fats and 15% by what we have the proteins. Now what is the daily requirement of these three different kinds of food substances or nutrients? How much we need, either carbohydrates, fats or proteins. If you are taking carbohydrates, the daily need, because it's a major source of energy, the daily need of carbohydrates is about 400 to 500 grams, that's per day. Then the fats, we need 60 to 70 grams of fat every day. So we need protein 65-75 grams per day. This is the daily requirement. This is the energy, that is what we are obtaining from different sources. Now this is the one what we require every day. How much amount of carbohydrates, how much amount of fats, how much amount of proteins. Now we are taking a balanced diet. We are taking a mixed diet. A mixed diet is the one which contains all the food materials. What do you mean by balanced diet? A balanced diet is the one which contains different food materials in right proportion. If it contains right proportion, then it's called what is known as a balanced diet. The balanced diet of every individuals or each individuals normally will vary from one to another. They are different. That depends on, that is what we call the balanced diet of each individual depends on the age of the individual. That is what we call the gender, either male or female. The male needs more energy than the female. Then levels of physical activity. If you are doing activity more and more, you need more energy. Then age. So the growing individuals, particularly we can say adult individuals, need more energy than the old people. It is not the same. So old people cannot take much food. So it depends on the age. And also during pregnancy and lactation, we need a balanced diet in a different way. Now during pregnancy and lactation, for secretion of the milk, the mother needs more protein along with the various elements like calcium, etc. So that's about one category, what is the source of energy for the body. Then what is the daily requirement of different nutrients. Then what are the factors that decide the balanced diet. How far one individual is different from another individual in his or her balanced diet. Now we have to compare the carbohydrates, proteins and fats, their energy value. What are carbohydrates, what are fats and what are proteins. I'll compare it in the form of tabular column. Let us compare the three major food substances and their energy values. Now we have the carbohydrates, which include mainly the sugars and starch. Sugars and starch. They are considered as energy producers because these are the major source of cellular fuel, provide energy. Major source of cellular fuel that provide energy. So sugars and starch, just energy producers. Now what are lipids? Lipids are fats and fat derivatives together called as lipids. Now these are the best reserve food stored in the body, along with also provides energy. The amount of energy produced by lipids during oxidation is 2 times more than that of carbohydrates. But we are using only the carbohydrates as the instant source of energy because during the breakdown of lipids, we have some abnormal substances also formed like ketone bodies. Though they contain more amount of energy, we are using only carbohydrate as an instant source of energy. Now the next also best reserve food and also source of energy. Lipids are fats and their derivatives. Now the proteins, the units of proteins are amino acids. So They are the source of amino acids. Source of amino acids. What is the role? So the growth depends on mainly the protein. The protoplasm contains more proteins. Growth is taking place when more and more proteins are added. And also the replacement of the dead cells, also the repairing mechanism. So the source of amino acids required for growth and repair of the body cells. Growth and repair of body cells. But the amount of protein stored only to some extent in the body. Major amount of protein is normally released or eliminated from the body in the form of nitrogenous waste materials. So large amount excreted as nitrogenous waste materials. So they are stored only actually in the body to certain extent. So proteins are the source of amino acids responsible for growth and repair of the cells. They are stored only small concentration, or we can say just only in the least amount in the body. Major amount of protein that is taken by the body during what we have digestion process is being eliminated. Now we have to go for the comparison of calorie values and physiological values between different substances. Before comparing just the energy values, so what is calorie fuel value? What is calorie? Calorie means the amount of energy released by 1 gram of a substance when it is increased to 1 degree Celsius temperature. Or we can say what is 1 calorie? The amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water to 1 degree Celsius. That is called 1 small calorie. 1000 small calories together called as 1 kilocalorie. Now, there are two types of calorie value. One is called calorie fuel value, another one physiological fuel value. What is calorie fuel value? The amount of energy release due to the oxidation of 1 gram of any food substance in a bomb calorimeter. Bomb calorimeter. So it is a closed vessel containing or filled with oxygen. When you are putting 1 gram of, for example, either carbohydrates or lipids or proteins in that bomb calorimeter, how much amount of energy is released by the oxidation of that 1 gram of food? Then it's called actually calorie fuel value. The calorie fuel value refers to the amount of energy released by 1 gram of any food substance in a bomb calorimeter. That is a closed metal just vessel filled with oxygen. What is physiological fuel value? The actual amount of energy released in a living cell by the oxidation of 1 gram of any food substance. So this is outside the body in a bomb calorimeter. This is inside the body, how much amount of energy released by the same food substance of 1 gram in a living cell. That is, accordingly we have to make the difference between calorie value and physiological fuel value. Now we are taking the carbohydrates. The calorie fuel value is about 4.1 kilocalories per gram. When 1 gram of carbohydrate is placed in bomb calorimeter, it releases 4.1 kilocalories. When the same carbohydrate in a living cell, it produces only 4 kilocalories per gram only, not 4.1. So the calorie value is always higher than the physiological fuel value. If you are taking the lipids, now in a bomb calorimeter, 1 gram of lipid produces 9.5 kilocalories of energy. The same 1 gram of lipid or fat in a living cell within our body releases only 9 kilocalories of energy. Here too you see that one, it is higher in calorie value, it is lower in a living cell, what is called the physiological fuel value. The next one, the proteins. Now in a calorie bomb meter, just we can say the bomb calorimeter or calorie bomb meter, the calorie value we have for 1 gram of proteins is about 5.65 kilocalories per gram. But when the same 1 gram of protein in the living cells in our body, it releases only 4 kilocalories of energy. So that's why I say the calorie fuel value is always higher than the physiological fuel value. So calorie value means the amount of energy released by 1 gram of any food substance in a bomb calorimeter. And what is physiological fuel value? The amount of energy released by any food substance, that's 1 gram of any food substance within the living body or within the living cells. That is a comparison between calorie fuel value and physiological fuel value. That's about what we have the calorie values of the different materials, how far we need these materials, how much amount we need it. Okay. Now we have to go for the nutritional disorders. The next one. What are the nutritional and digestive disorders? You see that when the digestive system is more prone to means ready to accept, more prone to bacterial, viral and then parasitic worm infections, because any contaminated food and water may cause damage to the digestive tract. Through the contaminated food and water, we have the entry of bacteria, viruses and also some parasitic worms, particularly the roundworms. So these infections may cause the inflammation of the inner lining of the colon, the large intestine. And this inflammation of inner lining of colon is called actually colitis. Simply we can say inflammation of colon. Inflammation of colon is called colitis. That is a part of the large intestine. What are actually the symptoms? We have rectal bleeding, bleeding from the rectum, discharge of the blood. Then abdominal cramps. Cramps means actually referring to just a severe pain. And also we have diarrhea in some cases. Okay, so water is stool elimination. This is about what we have actually the colon disorder. Any word ending with TIS referring to the inflammation. Colitis, inflammation of the colon. Now the second one is the common actually the disorder very often in the case of human beings occur is indigestion. So it is a digestive disorder. What's the meaning for that one? Food is not properly digested, leading to a feeling of fullness of stomach always. You feel that the stomach is normally filled with the food. So not properly digested, leading to a feeling of fullness of stomach. That is what's called indigestion. You are feeling just actually the food is remaining there in the stomach. What are the causes? This is because of the inadequate enzyme secretion for the digestion of the various food materials. That's number one. Number two, anxiety, always in the feeling of excitement. Number three, the food poisoning. It may also cause indigestion of food. Then overeating. If you're eating food more than the normal level, it may also cause indigestion. And finally, when you're taking more and more spicy food, that also results in indigestion. So this is the second disorder related to what we call the nutritional and digestive disorders. Now the third digestive disorder, the one which is more prevalent in countries where there is malnutrition, deficiency of diet, etc. For example, Ghana, Nigeria, Somalia. This is very common. The disorder is protein energy malnutrition, simply called as PEM. So growing children need more proteins for their growth and development. If there is any protein deficient in the diet during the early stage of children, that results in what is called protein energy malnutrition, such as number one, kwashiorkor, another one, marasmus. Kwashiorkor in language, what is called Ghana language, is called rejected child. The meaning for the disease, rejected child. Now I want to compare that kwashiorkor and marasmus, the definition along with the symptoms. Now kwashiorkor is due to only acute protein malnutrition, deficiency of proteins only. Whereas marasmus is due to actually both protein malnutrition and also deficiency of calories, nothing but carbohydrates. So protein deficiency and calorie deficiency that results in marasmus. Here only protein deficiency. Again, kwashiorkor is very common above the age of 1 year, that is between 2 to 3. But in the case of marasmus, it is common in children below 1 year of age. These are some of the differences, common differences. Now what is given in the book? So it is due to acute protein malnutrition, only protein malnutrition. No energy deficiency. What are the symptoms? Dry skin. The skin becomes very dry. Then pot belly. This is one of the symptoms. They're just actually weak arm, the belly region becomes part like swollen. Then weakness, because of loss of deficiency, because of loss of what is called the proteins in the diet. Then edema. The meaning for that one, accumulation of fluid. So that what will happen, the face and legs become swollen. So accumulation of fluid between the cells. That results in what is called swollen face as well as what is called the legs. This is called edematic condition. Edema, accumulation of fluid between the cells or tissues. Then irritability, highly sensitive. Then standard growth, shortness of what is called the stature. The growth is arrested so that the children are not growing to a normal level. Change in hair color. Hair color also changes to brown or some other colors. Then, what is marasmus? So it is an acute form of protein malnutrition along with the reason due to diet. The diet is deficit of what is called both carbohydrates and the proteins. So it is both due to inadequate proteins and carbohydrates. It is only because of what is called deficiency of proteins in the diet, but it is due to both protein and then carbon deficiency in the diet. What are the symptoms? The major symptom, there is diarrhea. The body becomes lean and then weak. That is called emaciation. Emaciated means lean body. Loss of fat. This is because of loss of fat and muscles. You see that one? The body is covered with a skin fold only because of the absence of muscle tissue and fatty tissues below the skin. So body becomes lean and big. That condition is called emaciation condition. So it becomes emaciated. This is because of mainly mentioned the reduced fats and muscle tissue below the skin, so that the persons become very just thin, and you can even count the number of what's called the ribs. As the muscles are absent, the ribs are elevated, thin and folded skin. As muscles and fats are absent, the skin becomes thin and also it becomes folded. That's a comparison. Suppose they're asking the question, differentiate what is called kwashiorkor and marasmus. You can write the definition, what is the reason for that one along with the symptoms. So whether I concluded about what we have, the disorders, we have some more disorders, nearly 6 or 7, we have to conclude, we have to complete that one in the next class, okay. Go through the assignment also, do it properly, genuinely, okay, regularly. Thank you.